Have you ever thought about where your produce comes from? Most grocery chains receive produce from various local and national farmers. In fact, there are about 3.4 million farmers in the United States today. But of that staggering number, only 45,000 are Black farmers. At the Better Buggy, we are a proud group of Atlanta-based Black-owned farmers, selling produce locally and nationwide. Our easy-to-navigate online platform makes it easy for you to make a one-time purchase or to simplify your life by subscribing to our weekly produce box. Whichever frequency you choose, you can order with confidence, knowing you'll receive 100% organic farm-fresh produce. If you're looking for a thoughtful gift for a loved one that they'd actually find useful, be sure to pop by our online store where you can snag a gift card your recipient can use to order their own produce and t-shirts. Ready to start supporting local Black-owned farms and making healthier food decisions? Visit thebetterbuggy.com now to start shopping.
Ladies and gentlemen, you notice how many times we in the Black community, somebody will call the police and that person that called the police will end up getting arrested. We've seen that many times. Maybe if there's a car accident or any fights or anything out in public, maybe we should just let white people make all the phone calls to the police and not call at all, since it's going to always be an issue when they show up and spot Black people instead of, look, what happened, y'all? Let me just tell y'all what happened. A SUV was driving erratically, and this Black man saw it. It was a 14-year-old girl behind the wheel. She crashed the SUV into a building. So he got on his phone and called the police. But when these Tennessee cops showed up, they arrested him. Doesn't that sound typical? So he, which is smart, he filed a lawsuit because it was a wrongful arrest and he should not have been arrested for reporting an accident. But if it's going to come down to that, then don't report it. Mind your business. Seriously, if they're going to come out and make us the issue, then why call? Lawsuit. Chattanooga officers arrested Black man who reported 14-year-old girl's crash. And this is June 14th, 2021. A lawsuit alleges that Chattanooga police officers falsely accused a Black man who had called them to report a white teenager had crashed into a building. In May 2021, Michael James, a Hamilton County resident, filed a lawsuit against the city of Chattanooga and several officers, saying they violated his civil rights during an incident that happened last year. Good for him. I'm glad he had at least enough sense to file the lawsuit, but he should never have been bothered. Once they realized some teenager was behind the wheel, they should have attended to that. Wow, these officers are something else. According to the lawsuit, James had been driving in Chattanooga around 4 a.m. This was May 6, 2020, and he saw a Nissan SUV traveling in an erratic and dangerous manner, and that it almost hit his vehicle. Now, what was a 14-year-old girl doing behind the wheel of an SUV at 4 a.m.? Who are her parents? Where were they when this happened? Okay. James said there were two people in the SUV, both of them minors. So your badass kids steal your vehicle and go out joyriding at 4 a.m.? Wow. The lawsuit alleged that at one point, the teens flipped off James, so they gave him the finger. They gave this man the finger and then ran a red light before going off the road and hitting a building. 4 a.m. So they had to steal some adult's vehicle at 4. So where were these parents? Who owned this SUV? All right. And badass kids, you should have kept going. I'm going to flip you off. You should have kept going. When officers arrived after the call, the 911 call, James, who was African American, said one of the officers pointed a gun at him and he was handcuffed. James said he and his car were searched without his permission and that he was tested for intoxication. Okay, so you tested him for being drunk? Maybe you should have tested those 14-year-old girls or whoever was in that car, in that SUV. Did you test them for drunk driving? What did you do to them? Because it sounds to me like they were so engulfed with this black man, they didn't do nothing to those girls. What was going on? So you show up on the scene, point a gun at this man who reported these kids crashing into a building, and your response is to handcuff him and point a gun at him? See, this is why nobody likes your cops. Talking about some respect the blue. Yeah, whatever. All right. So the lawsuit said he did not consume any drugs or alcohol at that time. He said the officers did not do the same for the 14-year-old girl. So everything they did to him, they didn't do to these white 14-year-olds. Where were the handcuffs and the guns on them? Okay, so they gave them the, oh, I know how to do my police job, but they gave the black man the Wild Wild West treatment. Okay. So he said he watched, and these officers did not do the same with the 14-year-old girl that crashed the vehicle. No handcuffs for her, no guns pointed at her. She was not arrested or charged in spite of not having a license or insurance for the vehicle, the attorney said. See, this is why they look like they're not committing crimes, y'all. This is how it's done. The officer refuses to charge them with anything. So the person is really a criminal, but they're not charged with anything, so they appear clean. This is what they do for their people. It's not that they're better than you or not committing crime. They're committing plenty of crimes. They just refuse to charge people that look like them. So she was not charged or arrested for crashing a vehicle, a SUV. The lawsuit says the parents of the teens decided not to press charges against James. Press charges against him for what? Do y'all see why you should not be making these phone calls? Y'all don't make these phone calls. I'm telling y'all, don't make these phone calls. Stay in your car and just mind your business. So the parents are not going to charge the black man that called in to the police when the SUV that was driven by a white 14-year-old girl crashed into a building. They're not going to press charges on the black man. Oh, man. Oh, woo. Mm-mm-mm. So the parents said they're not going to press charges against Mr. James. Press charges against him for what? Yeah, I can't get past this. No. Wow. So the lawsuit said that the police charged him with 2 counts of aggravated assault for making a phone call and reporting an accident. Oh, boy. The Hamilton County District Attorney's Office said the case against James was dismissed because the alleged victims failed to appear in court and the case was expunged. No, you had to expunge it because you had nothing on this man. A white girl crashed an SUV, and then the cops came out and tried to make it all about a black man. Officer Hughes initiated and pressed criminal charges against James, the African American male who was driving his own vehicle with valid registration, but Officer Hughes did not initiate or press criminal charges against a 14-year-old white girl who was driving someone else's vehicle without permission and without a license. This is what was said in the lawsuit. So he is asking for $415,000 in damage. And honey, you need to make that up in the millions. You need to make that up in the millions. Personally, I think when they saw the two white teens in that SUV, they automatically did not want to do anything to them. So they turned around and made the whole issue about the black man. And it just did not work out the way they thought it would. So he's suing. I hope he wins his lawsuit. What a terrible thing to happen. And why would you want to help when you see how these cops have reacted? Why would you want to pick up a phone and report anything that you see on the road? Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.